Hey there everyone, it's Joe and this is your weekly gold, silver and platinum price analysis brought to you by Ainslie Bullion and the Gold and Silver Standard. It is Tuesday the 14th of February 2023. You're looking at gold on the weekly time frame here. It's priced in US dollars, currently $1,857 roughly. And we're using the tradingview.com website. All right, let's pop on the indicators. Of course, if you want to skip ahead to your favorite metal, we do gold first, then silver, then platinum. So skip ahead using the time codes below to your favorite one. We need to quickly just go back, talk about what we did last week. The video was, is that it for gold and silver? We're talking about the high in gold that we'd reached of 1,960, which coincidentally happened to be my very first price target for the 2023 gold price prediction video. Where is it? Somewhere here, right here. 2023 gold price forecast prediction, etc. The realistic forecast. And I was suggesting that 1,960 might be the first area which you would look at a price target for the year. I've got a couple of others moving higher and some moving lower, of course, the higher targets and the lower targets. Watch this video. I'll put a link above. Not that one, I'll put a link above to that one right now. But we had reached 1,960, and on the daily time frame, popping it in, we had already bounced off that last week, and we were right here on Tuesday last week at $1,870 roughly. I was suggesting last week that I thought that in the coming week and maybe couple of weeks we were going to see some more downward movement. And what I did suggest was this next area right here, somewhere between 1790 and $1,810 might be the next area of support. Now, within the last few days, we certainly haven't gone down to there. In the last few days, we made a play for back up into this range here between the $1,880 and the $1,900 level. It was a failed move to break above. Oftentimes from a failed move comes a fast move in the opposite direction, and we have seen a low so far of 1,850. Is that it? I don't know. We are not soothsayers here. We don't have crystal balls, but quite potentially you could see a little bit more of a further movement down to come down to this level here again, somewhere between $1,810 to that $1,780, $1,790 level, somewhere in that purple box right there, that purple rectangle. So that's really it. This is going to be very short and sharp for gold. So you can see very clearly here on the relative strength index last week, we had, that's on the daily time frame, we were definitely in overbought territory, and I did mention that a couple of weeks ago. We're in overbought territory on the weekly time frame, and you can see a definite downward movement so far. Yet to find a support level. I do think that the roughly halfway point between overbought and oversold, the 50 mark right there, might possibly be a level of support on the relative strength index, and I think that would actually coincide quite well. There'd be a lot of confluence between coming down into this purple rectangular area right here and bouncing off right there. Let me undo that, and there we pop that in, and bouncing off the 50 level here on the relative strength index as support. So I think a couple of areas of confluence there. So I am still bearish in the short term, in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks roughly. I think we are coming down to this area. Again, if I am wrong, I'll be happy to be wrong, because we're going to be going higher. Obviously, we'll be going in the opposite direction. So that is gold. A very, very quick one this week. Silver, this is interesting. Let's pop it on the daily time frame. And last Tuesday, obviously we had this the week before last, we had that failed attempt to break above this long-term trend line right there. I'll just show it to you right here on the weekly time frame if you didn't see last week's video, right there. And it was a failed attempt. Again, oftentimes from a failed move comes a fast move in the opposite direction. So the last couple of weeks we've seen red weeks. So this week that's just gone was certainly a red week like I expected it to be. And right here you can see we've just nipped it right at the beginning of my support level area. And that support level area was around about between $22 and $21. So that technically I had it right here. Interestingly, I promise you, I haven't moved these rectangles. You can go back and check them in my previous video. I'll put a link above to that now to see, and it's hit it right on the money right here at $21.80, and we've just hit into that area. Certainly haven't come down to this area of $20.90 roughly, so there is still room to move down, but I guess maybe technically you could say it has reached a level of support. What we do from here remains to be seen. Could we bounce off and come back and find resistance around about the $23 level and then come back down into this area? That's quite possible. What you'll notice on the daily time frame is we shot straight through the halfway point between overbought and oversold, so we're getting into oversold territory on the daily time frame. Let's take a look at it on the weekly. On the weekly, similar thing to gold, you can see a definite downtrend, and we have yet to find this area here, the halfway point, as support, and I do think that would be a support level. So again, I think on balance of probability, some more downward movement this coming week in silver as well. Again, potentially, if we bounce off here and go straight back up to, say, your 23 level in the next couple of weeks, hey, that's fantastic. I do think it needs to visit more this area, so I'm actually inclined to believe quite potentially that if we do see a green week this week, oh, it just ticked into green right there. If we do see a green week, we might have a couple of green weeks coming back up to around your sort of $22.80 to $23 US level mark, and then another few weeks back down. I do think we have to visit this area right here, and the bottom of that area is again around about $20.90, and the very bottom right here I've got, it's about $20.70, so around about that kind of $20.70, $20.80 kind of level. I do think we will come into this box and spend a little bit more time in it. Again, if we just sail right through and go right through this downtrend line, I will be a happy man indeed. That is silver, but technically has hit a little bit of that support level right there within that range of that triangle. Rectangle. That is silver. Told you it was going to be very, very short and sharp. Let's take a look at platinum. Now this has really hit the target that I thought it was going to. It's on the money at the moment, at least on the weekly time frame. Let's take a look on the daily. And you can see right here on the daily, we have hit oversold, and it looks like we are potentially bouncing off it at this stage. But what you can see is in the last 7 days since the last video, that's Tuesday last week right there, I was suggesting this area of somewhere between $960 and $940 US dollars might be the level of support. I think that's quite easy to see because I just drew it in based on this level here and this level here. So a range, and it's certainly hit that range, I think, exactly on the money. On this particular index, it bottomed out at $939.07. So very easily call it $940 US dollars. What happens from here? Could we potentially bounce from here? That is quite possible. Let's have a look at it on the weekly time frame. And you can see that nice weekly green candle just opened for this week, bouncing off that $940 level. So I can very easily see a green week for the entire week, and possibly even into the second week, or next week I should say, but at least for this week. And an area of resistance, I can see it right here. Tell me if you can see it too. Are we on the same page? What I can see right here, you can see a level of resistance here. It's also a level of support, so it's around about $970 roughly. So I think that would be a little area of resistance moving up in the next week or so. So around about 970, I think you'd find that. Of course, moving up from there, I think you'd be batting up. Oh, I'll pop it in here as well, actually. You can probably see that too. Can you see that level of support, level of resistance, and also a little level of support on the weekly time frame? That's, oh, well, there you go. It's around about your $1,000 level. So your psychological $1,000 level. So 970 and $1,000 psychological value, although it's not as much psychological now, seeing as though, you know, we've certainly been up and down through it many, many times before, but maybe to day traders or first-time investors into the metals, it could be a psychological value. You never know, but I'll just keep a note of it, $1,000 there, US dollars. And of course, if we just do continue to sail up in the next few weeks, not quite sure that we will do that, but if we did, of course, again, this long-term downtrend line, which has just been a failed attempt to hold. So it certainly broke above and then it failed. It almost held there, but then it broke down. Then a second attempt failed. I thought third was a charm, third was not a charm. So we've got this long-term downtrend line to play with as well. And I will just make note, if we do in the next couple of weeks, I did mention this last week, if we do break through this purple triangle right here, my first bottoming target for 2023 for the platinum price, I had set here at $900 US. It's a big psychological value. And what I'll do is I'll put a link above to the 2023 platinum price forecast as well. That is this one right here. I'll put a link above right now, and I'll put it below in the info section of the YouTube page and as part of the pinned comment. I'll do the same for the gold, and I'll do the same for the silver as well. And of course, I want you to subscribe to this channel. Why? Informational videos 5-6 days a week, including the Gold Silver Standard Insights videos, of course these technical analysis videos on Tuesdays, our product highlights, our weekly specials, so you're going to get another one this week coming. Of course, the new Tough Talk segment, you got to check that out, that's very, very cool, and many other things. So that is it. Please like, share and subscribe, and I want you to balance your wealth in an unbalanced world. Take care, and we'll speak soon.